Hello guys, I'm Andrew from Seoul Law Group, and we're an English-speaking law firm based in Seoul, South Korea. In today's video, we'll be talking about driving under influence in Korea. It is almost impossible to miss. Drinking is a huge part of Korean culture. Many companies have dinner together after work, during which large amounts of soju and beer are often consumed. Driving under the influence was therefore quite common in South Korea. That is why the government cracks down very hard on drunk driving. Driving with the blood alcohol content of 0.03% constitutes drink driving in Korea, and punishments are quite severe, ranging from fines to imprisonment and license revocation. Of course, we hope that no one drives while under the influence of alcohol, but if it does happen, it is important to know what constitutes a driving under influence in South Korea, what the procedure for a sobriety test is, and what the punishments may be. Most importantly, if you ever caught for a DUI, it is important to hire a competent lawyer to help you out with any civil, administrative, or criminal charges. What constitutes a DUI in Korea? Currently, you're considered to be driving under the influence or driving while intoxicated, according to Korean law, if your blood alcohol content is higher than 0.03%. For most adults, it takes around 1 to 2 shots of soju or a small beer to constitute a BAC of 0.03%. BAC is a measurement of alcohol intoxication used for legal or medical purposes. Basically, a BAC of 0.03% means that there is a 0.03 gram of alcohol for every 100 milliliters of blood. Your BAC is usually measured using a breathalyzer, which estimates the BAC indirectly by measuring the amount of alcohol in your breath. BAC can also be measured using a blood test. In Korea, there are levels of severeness when it comes to a DUI. 0.03% to 0.08%, 0.08% to 0.2%, and over 0.2%. The punishment you receive depends on how high your BAC is. Procedure for sobriety tests. It is important to know how sobriety tests are taken and which rights you have. Police officers have to follow strict guidelines when it comes to sobriety testing. First, the officer should radio the police station situation room, report that they are about to take a sobriety test, tell their name and driver's vehicle number. The officer should check if the breathalyzer is working properly before testing. The officer should also ask when the driver finished drinking and whether the driver used any alcohol-based mouthwash recently. Alcohol-based mouthwash can affect the results of a breathalyzer test, so if the driver has used mouthwash recently, they are allowed to rinse their mouth with water before taking the test. In this case, the officer should provide 200 milliliters of water to the driver. In addition to breathalyzer tests, the officer must write another report on other circumstances. Whether the driver speaks properly, whether they can walk straight, whether their face is red, or how they respond when the officer asks them of sobriety test. This is used as evidence later if the driver gets punished for drunk driving. When the breathalyzer tests show that the BAC is 0.03% or higher, the driver is now considered driving while intoxicated, according to Road Traffic Act, Article 44. The next procedure is as follows. First, the officer should tell the driver of their BAC and notify them that they are allowed to ask for a blood test. In principle, the Korean court views breathalyzer results as definitive, unless the driver asks for a blood test within a reasonable period of time and with a justifiable reason. 2. Regardless of whether the driver asks for a blood test or not, the officer should give them a ticket for drunk driving. This ticket gets immediately sent to the police situation room to work as evidence for the administrative and criminal punishment for the driver. After giving the driver a ticket and securing the driver's identity, the officer can send them home. Of course, the officer should take proper measure to stop the driver from driving any more that day, such as taking the driver's car key and keeping it. 4. But if the driver's identity is unclear, or if they try to run away, the officer can arrest them right at the spot. Meanwhile, if the driver refuses to take a sobriety test, they also get the ticket. If they refuse the test and they are likely to run away, the officer can arrest them. When the police officer makes an arrest, they have to clearly state the offender's Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to speak to an attorney and to have an attorney present during any question. Getting caught for DUI. If anyone gets caught driving under the influence of alcohol, there are three main punishments: civil liability, administrative punishments, and criminal punishments. The exact punishment you receive depends on your total BAC. We'll discuss each type of punishment shortly. Number 1, civil liability. Civil liability refers to subcharges on your insurance fees as a result of drunk driving. This is only the case for car insurance in your name. If you're caught for drunk driving for the first time, you'll receive a 10% surcharge on your insurance fee for the duration of 2 years. If you're caught for the second time or more, you will have to pay 20% extra on your insurance fee for 2 years. This civil liability was instated so that people are deterred from committing any violations, as they do not only lead to fines, but also to long-lasting civil consequences. If you try to avoid this by signing up for the insurance under someone else's name, the surcharge will be increased to 50%. So you better not think about borrowing the name of your family or friend after drunk driving. Number 2, administrative punishments. Administrative punishments refer to the suspension or even cancellation of your driver's license. First, let us explain how it works if you have a Korean driver's license. How long your license is suspended depends on the severity of intoxication and whether you cause an accident. If you did not cause an accident and your BAC levels were between 0.03% and 0.08%, you will receive 100% demerit points on your license. The license will be cancelled if the driver has accumulated more than 121 points in 1 year, 201 points in 2 years, or 271 points in 3 years. If your BAC levels were higher than 0.08%, the driver's license will be revoked for 1 year. The driver's license will also be revoked for 1 year if you refuse to take a breathalyzer when asked by a police officer. However, if you're caught twice or more, your license will be revoked for 2 years. If you cause an accident with a car or any other object, not a person, driving under the influence of alcohol, punishment will be more severe. If your BAC levels were between 0.03% and 0.08%, you receive 100 to 110 demerit points on your license. If your BAC levels were higher than 0.08% or you refuse to take a breathalyzer test, your license will be revoked for 2 years. If you're caught twice or more, your license will be revoked for 3 years. If drunk driving caused an accident with a person, your license will be revoked for 2 years no matter your BAC levels. If it happens twice or more, your license will be revoked for 3 years. However, if the accident was fatal and caused someone's death, the driver's license will be revoked for at least 5 years. Your driver's license will also be revoked for 5 years if you run away after a DUI incident. However, if you have a foreign driver's license, the punishment becomes much simpler and much more severe. Number 3, criminal punishments. Besides receiving civil consequences and administrative punishment, driving under the influence will also lead to criminal punishments, such as high fines and even imprisonment. Like with administrative punishment, the severity of the fine or imprisonment depends on the level of intoxication. If your BAC levels are between 0.03% and 0.08%, you could be sentenced to prison for the maximum duration of 1 year or receive a fine of 5 million won. If the driver's BAC levels were between 0.08% and 0.2%, they can be sentenced to 1 to 2 years in prison, or they'll have to pay a fine of 5 million won to 10 million won. If BAC levels were higher than 0.2%, you can receive a prison sentence of 2 to 5 years, or a fine of 10 million won to 20 million won. If you refuse to take a breathalyzer test, you can be imprisoned for 1 to 5 years, or receive a fine from 5 to 20 million won. Also, if the driver has been caught for drunk driving before, the driver can be sentenced to prison for 2 to 5 years, or will have to pay a fine of 10 to 20 million won. If driving under the influence caused an accident that injured a person, the driver is punished by imprisonment of 1 to 15 years, or a fine between 10 and 30 million won. If the accident was fatal, the driver will be imprisoned for life or at least 3 years. Hiring a DUI lawyer. We of course hope that you will never get in the car under the influence of alcohol. But if it does happen and you're caught on a drunk driving violation, it is important to hire a DUI lawyer as soon as possible. Seoul Law Group lawyers are ready to help you achieve the most preferable outcome under the charges that you face. Also very important, all lawyers will do their best to also help protect your visa as much as possible in the case of a drunk driving violation. Criminal charges can have negative effects on your visa. Seoul Law Group's lawyers will help you figure out what these effects are and how to minimize them. Well, I hope this video was useful for you. If you have any questions or concerns about drunk driving in Korea, let us know in the comment section below, and you can find more info on soullawgroup.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on that notification bell for more Korean law related videos, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.